to Live by Design, a program where I hope you'll find content that is informative, inspiring, and insightful. I'm your host, Muadi Dibinga. I'm a life strategist and a motivational speaker, and today is Tuesday, November 19th, 2013. So, how are you? I hope all is well in your world. It most certainly is in mine. I'm having a great time here in Washington, D.C. The weather has been unseasonably mild for the last couple of days, and I know winter's coming. And when it gets here, I will embrace it with open arms, and I will not complain. But in the meantime, I am taking advantage of this great weather. And so hopefully, wherever you are making the most and the best of whatever situation you're in, and, just having a good time, because that's what life is about, I think, anyway, having fun. Today I want to pick up on a theme that I introduced on my blog yesterday. I have a blog and it's called Live the Lesson. I'll attach a link to my blog at the end of this episode for those of you who want to go and check it out later. But the theme centers around the importance of creating and listening to your inner GPS, becoming self-directed and not allowing other people and their expectations and their criticisms and their judgments to determine the flow, the direction, and the pace of your life. Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith often says, or I've heard him say, that it's not in our interest to let people should all over our lives, meaning that we need to figure out a way to stand in the truth of who we are, to determine what our true soul purpose is, our true soul calling is, and answer that call rather than trying to live up to what other people think our lives should look like. In this society, we judge people based on whether or not they've attained certain measures of success that we've talked about on this show before. We judge people based on the school that they go to, what kind of car they drive, what kind of house they live in, are they married, are they single, do they have children, and the list is endless. And oftentimes when people encounter other people whose lives don't line up with what they believe to be that sort of perfect picture, they bombard them with questions and suggestions and tips on how to get the perfect life. So if you're single, oftentimes people ask you, well, why don't you have a man? Why don't you have a woman? And I could hook you up, and etc. If you are making a decision that you want to drop out of college, 1,000,001 people will jump on your back and say, no, you have to stay in school, regardless as to whether you're feeling like you're drowning and dying and spiritually evaporating in school. People will tell you that you should stay in school for a litany of reasons that have nothing to do with your sole purpose. I was in my 30s when I had this revelation that every decision that I had made up until that point was influenced by my desire to please my parents and live up to their expectations of me. Where I went to school, how I wore my hair, who I dated, who I did not date. All of my major decisions were really a reflection of me trying to please my parents. And I don't blame my parents, and this is not to in any way condemn them. They did a really good job instilling some really powerful core values and cultural identity within me that have really sustained me. But my point is that there comes a time where we have to cut the spiritual umbilical cord, right? And figure out who we are and live life on our own terms, living in our truth, doing no harm, but living up to the calling that's on our life and crafting a life that is aligned with our individual spiritual blueprint. And for me, what that meant was figuring out, who am I? What are my values? What's important to me? How do I define family? How do I define friendship? How do I define love? How do I define spirituality? Some of the answers to those questions were very much aligned with what my parents taught me, but a significant number of them were not. And initially, when I just started to discover that there was a sort of disparity between who I was and who I was raised to be in some spaces, I had fear because I thought I was going to be rejected by my family. And I thought that being who I felt I was meant to be was somehow going to be a betrayal of who I was taught to be, and that they would somehow abandon me. And it's so funny because here I am over 10 years later, and they didn't go anywhere. I said this before, my family doesn't always get me, but they always got me. And so what I've discovered is I spent all those years fearing something that never came to pass. My message for you today is very simple. You know you better than anybody else. And it is important, it's critical to your survival that you take the time to figure out who you are in this world, set a course, set your path, and resist the temptation to fall in line with conventional thinking and conventional wisdom about what your life should look like, because that's where the suffering happens. Carolyn Mays says it, and I think I might have said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Whenever we chase a life that does not belong to us, it causes us suffering. So if you're single and you feel pressure to get married because everybody else is married and everybody else is doing it, I guarantee you that once you get into a situation where you're no longer single, or into a situation where you're no longer single, you will not be satisfied. You will not be fulfilled because you're going forward with the wrong intention. You're going forward with the intention of appeasing other people rather than settling your soul, rather than answering the call of who you were sent here to be. Everyone has an opinion of what we should be doing. Everyone has an opinion of how I should be living. There are some people who, when they hear me say that my nephews and nieces are like my children, who immediately go into this rant about, well, you should have your own kids and then you really understand. And for me, in one ear and out the other, because I know who I am. I have my internal GPS set on high, and my direction is very clear. My intention is very clear, and my pace is my own. I'm living my life in the me lane, meaning that as long as I do no harm, and as long as I tell the truth, and as long as I'm willing to deal with and live with the consequences of my choices, it's all good. I'm not worried about what people think about my lifestyle and my choices. I know what my intentions are. I know what my plan is. And as a result of being able to stand in that truth and that knowing, I feel peace. I spend more time in a peaceful state than I stay in a state of anxiety. I stay more joyful. I stay in a space of being really open. I feel grace all around me. I promise you it's true, because I'm living my life. I'm answering the call on my life. I'm living my spiritual assignment, and I'm not worried about what other people think about how I'm rolling. I have people in my life who I trust, who I love, who really know me and understand that I have this path, who I do go to for guidance from time to time, because I am human. And so I do have those times of angst and worry and doubt, just like everybody else. But that's not where I spend most of my time, because the inner GPS is on high. And I'm headed straight ahead, full force, full steam ahead towards my destiny. My message for you is to take some time today, every day, sitting in stillness, whenever you can get that moment, and ask yourself, whose life am I living? Whose life am I living? Whose life are you living? Is it yours, or is it someone else's? Are you doing the things that you're doing because it makes you feel good and it's what you really want, or is it because you think it's going to get you a reaction from Peanut and them in the peanut gallery, as I like to call them? This is your life. This is your journey. You only get one shot, at least in this incarnation. I don't know if you believe in the afterlife and all that, but right here, right now, this moment, this present, this is all you've got. Don't spend up your life currency trying to live to appease, to fulfill the image of someone else's vision of who you were sent here to be. If going to college is for you, go to college. If it's not, then don't. If you want to get married when you're 21 and sort of figure out your life, do it. If you don't get married until you're 86, go for it. If you choose not to get married at all, that's your life. That's your business. Okay? You have earned the right to be the person that you were sent here to be. And the people who love you will always have your back, regardless as to whether or not your life unfolds in a way that is consistent with their vision and their dreams for you. And the folks who don't get you don't need to be around you. Period. Bottom line, the end. So my message again is simple. Listen to your inner GPS. You are in charge of your life. Set your direction. Set your tone. Set your pace. And if folks want to travel with you side by side on the freeway, cool. If not, let them pass or take the next exit coming. It's your life. It's your path, right? Do no harm. Tell the truth. Be willing to deal with and live through and grow through the consequences of your decisions. And it's all good. All right, that's the message. I hope it helped you. I hope that particularly those of you who are struggling to live up to the expectations of the loved ones in your lives, I hope it gives you an opportunity to take a pause and really breathe and look in the mirror and ask yourself, whose life are you really, really trying to live? Because again, living someone else's life brings you suffer, and you were not sent here to suffer. Okay, that's it. Hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all that good stuff. If you have any comments, if you have any ideas for shows or topics you'd like to see me cover. If you're in Boston on December 28th, 2013, Roxbury Community College, Upgrade Your Life. I'd love to see you there. And if I don't see you there, until we meet again, you have a fantastic day. Have a great week. And I am wishing you all the love that you can possibly stand. Take care.